Hello, and welcome to a new edition of True Audio Files. This week, I'm going to go over what I was listening to in the month of July. I listened to a lot of stuff, and there were a lot of new releases. I want to give a shout out to some of them that haven't made my top as kind of honorable mentions. Things like one that was kind of a surprising one was Kansas. Not a big Kansas fan typically, but I thought the album was pretty good. The Pretenders' new album was pretty decent. Bob Dylan's new album. I can't say I'm a gigantic Bob Dylan fan, but I like his music, and I thought the new album was actually pretty decent. There were a few others, too, that aren't coming top of mind, but those ones were top of mind on ones that I didn't pick for kind of my final decisions on what ones I was listening to this July. So I would love to hear what you were listening to this July, but let's start off with what I listened to, or at least kind of the top of what I listened to. First up is Joe Walsh, The Smoker You Drink, The Player You Get. This is an Analog Productions reissue, as you could see. Have to actually kind of say that I bought several Analog Productions reissues last month, I should say. There was the Eddie Money's self-titled album. There was Stevie Ray Vaughan's In Step, and another one that's making my list as well. But those other two, they had more surface noise than I was expecting. I was pretty disappointed because Analog Production stuff is usually very good, and I rarely have issues with surface noise on them. But those ones stood out as being below what my expectations would be for Analog Productions, I should say, because they definitely weren't the worst I've ever experienced, but they definitely were probably the worst I've experienced for an Analog Productions reissues anyways. So next up is old tried and true, although the album itself isn't as old as most of his other stuff, but it is Flaming Pie by Paul McCartney. This reissue just sounds spectacular. I have the high definition or high resolution digital download tracks as well. One of the few exceptions to my rule of trying not to buy digital remasters of analog recordings and buying them on vinyl, but Paul McCartney stuff in general tends to be very well done, and this is no exception. It sounds great. In comparison to the original, I don't have the original, but this one is spread out over 2 LPs instead of 1, so you get the better dynamics, typically better sound quality because it's also half-speed mastered, so the higher frequencies tend to be a little bit more accurate sounding. And my understanding from friends who have the original and this one, they prefer this one because it also seems to be a touch more dynamic too. So if you haven't bought this one because you have the original, you may want to check it out because it sounds great. And I think the packaging is awesome on it too. So next one was kind of an unusual one. This one was a record that is a Newbury Comics exclusive, so you know how I feel about those. I really love the Newbury Comics exclusive stuff, but it's one that I think they've reissued it a couple different times with different color variations. But this one was one that I've seen a couple times, and I'm like, let's give this a try. I listened to it on a streaming service before I bought it just to see if I would like it. And actually, I was pretty fond of it. I thought it was pretty cool. So it is Deltron 3030. So it's basically Dan the Automator and Del the Funky Homo Sapien. If you're not into rap or hip hop, you're probably not going to enjoy this one. But if you like Del the Funky Homo Sapien, like I do, I can't say I'm a gigantic fan, but peripherally the stuff I have of his I really do enjoy. You probably will like this album, but it basically came out, I believe, in 2000. This is a reissue that is on a really cool vinyl, and I have to admit that the color of the vinyl may have had a little bit of a reason why I bought it. So because it's just so cool looking. I mean, look at that. It's so awesome. Just really, really cool looking. So and it sounds good too. So it sounds decent anyways. It's still digital, I know, and you know how my feelings are about my preferences, but I thought it was actually a pretty cool record, and I thought that the the presentation was just awesome. Just that coloring is so cool. So next up is Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. This is a newly discovered recording, or maybe just a previously unreleased recording. I don't know how newly discovered it is, to be quite frank, but Jazz Messengers has Lee Morgan, Hank Mobley are probably the two most popular guys besides Art Blakey. Lee Morgan, I've just most recently become familiar with his work as a trumpet player, and he's really awesome, and he died unfortunately young, but this is pretty cool. You know, it's not, I can't say it's my favorite jazz album, but I thought it sounded good. It was mastered from the analog tapes directly to the record, pressed at RTI, who usually does a pretty good job with their pressings, and this one's no exception. It's done really well, and it was pretty affordable. It was like a $20 or $22 record. So good stuff. You know, they made it kind of look retro, like the old school Blue Note records, because it's on Blue Note. And you know, great jazz album, or good jazz album altogether. So next up, I'm not 100% sure if this one probably just made my list for a couple of reasons. One is I think the music's decent. I can't say that it's awesome, but it's good. It's a new release. But it's the Dixie Chicks, or I should say the Chicks now, as they like to be referred to, Gaslighter. So I guess some of the appeal to this also is the first pressing of the album, both this version and the Target exclusive colored version. Both were released with the Dixie Chicks on the front. All later, pressings that come after this will just say the Chicks on it instead. So I figured, you know, I listened to a couple of tracks and I thought they were good, so I figured I'd pick it up. You know, and it's actually overall a pretty good album. So if you like the Dixie Chicks at all, you should probably pick this one up. It's a pretty good one, and hopefully it'll become a little bit more valuable because it says Dixie Chicks instead of the Chicks on it now. So this next one was an interesting one. It's The Heavy. I don't know if you ever heard of them, The Heavy Sons. This one I mainly bought because my local Newbury Comics store had it on sale for, I think it was like $14 instead of $27 or something. And I've bought albums from The Heavy in the past and I've enjoyed them. And actually, this one's no exception. I really, really like it. It's kind of a, you know, funk, rock type of feel to it. The lead singer, which is him, I don't remember his name now, but he's Kevin Swaby, I believe it is, or is just a great singer. I really enjoy it. But the great album, decent pressing, and you know, got it for an affordable price, and just think it's a really good album that came out. I think it was last year or the year before. And so on to my last one. This one is one that I'm very happy I bought. It's been around for a little while now, in terms of the reissue. And that is Dave Brubeck, Time Out. Definitely one of my favorite jazz albums. Can't say it's definitely my top, but it's definitely one of them. This one is the 45 RPM version, so two record, 45 RPM, cut from straight from analog. And as if you've seen my shootout that I did probably close to a month ago, you'll find that I did prefer this version over the original. So just a great recording. I feel a great mastering overall. Good, solid, deep bass. You know, maybe a little bit of a touch more treble than what some people may like, but I think overall such a great job done on this. So it sounds good. That is what I was listening to in the month of July. I would love to see what you guys were listening to in July. Please leave comments below about, you know, some of your favorite listens during the month of July. It could be CDs, it could be records, I don't care, digital downloads, streaming, whatever. I want to hear what you guys have been, or everyone has been listening to. I shouldn't say you guys, because we have some women subscribers too. I don't want to leave them out. But please leave your comments below. If you liked what you saw, please like the video. If you want to see more from me, please subscribe to my videos. And if you want to know when my new videos come out, please hit that alert button so you'll know and you'll get messaged when my new videos come out. So that's it for this week. Can't wait to do another video for you next week. And everybody have a great day.